But I wanted to ask you, in fact, specifically about how and why it was you came to write on Leta Hollingworth.
Okay. I think I've actually told you this story before, but now we're on tape.
Yeah.
My first, no, it was my third quarter, so it was spring quarter of my first year in graduate school. On the recommendation of my then roommate, I took a history of psychology course from Walt Weimer. Okay. And he was a very interesting individual, young, wealthy. He wasn't in it for the money. He was in it because he loved critical thinking, I think. So, and because she had taken it the year before and gotten a lot out of it. So I took this class, and we had to write a paper. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to write the paper about. And Carol said to me, my roommate Carol McMahon, who ended up getting her degree and going on, I think, and doing primarily practice, said, well, you know, you're always talking about psychology of women. Was there a psychology of women before there was Freud? Oh. And I said, I don't know. That would be a good paper. Okay. And since this was spring of 1972, I had no idea what I was going to find, so I decided I might as well start from the very beginning. So I went back to, like, Aristotle. And so I got to do my own kind of like history of women course. And went back to Aristotle and the Church Fathers and Christine de Pizan. And I just learned a tremendous amount. Now, of course, there were no personal computers, much less anything else. So looking for information really meant spending a lot of time in the library digging. I got to know the people in interlibrary loan really, really well. And I got to know way old psych abstracts and many other abstracting sort of services for history really, really well. So I ended up writing for Walt Weimer this 70-page paper. Wow. Yeah, it was 70 pages long. I still have it.
Oh, wow. Oh, excellent.
70-page paper that started out with, you know, in the Bible.
Yeah. Women through the ages.
It goes all the way through to functionalism in American psychology. And now, Walt Weimer was kind of like this interesting character because he just always had kind of an attitude. Like, I remember on the last day of class, like, I had no self-confidence at this period in my life. But the last day of class, we had to do, I don't know if we even did teaching evaluations, but he's like, okay, so do you want to tell me anything about the class? And everybody's too chaos, so I raised my hand and I said, well, sometimes the things that you say seem to not show very much respect for your students.
Oh, wow.
I was like, what, did I just say this?
Oh, wow, that's courageous.
So, well, what do you mean? Well, you put us down. Anyway, so that's a little bit of background because I finished this 70-page paper. Wow. And I guess I had picked up over the course of time that he was not particularly interested in the psychology of women or didn't think much of women because I took the paper up to his office and put it on his desk and said, read this, I dare you.
Wow.
And he did. Wow. He read the whole thing, and I got it back, and he had corrected all my grammar in the 70 pages, which was funny. And he had a note on the front that was like, well, the first 30 pages are amusing enough or interesting enough, but, you know, you're really going to have to do something with the rest of it if you want to see this go anywhere. So I thought, okay, I'll take that as positive. So, and it was really, it was really exciting to me. Oh, and you asked about Leta Hollingworth specifically. Well, in the course of, you know, this great history of women and history of women in psychology and history of psychology of women course that I was kind of teaching myself on the side, I have to tell you, we had next door neighbors and they were both in the school psych program. and Gail Solomon, actually Solomon was her married name, but Gail Weiss. We were good friends. We were both trying to be on a diet and exercise program together. And she volunteered because I was finding all of this stuff. And so I was bringing books home from the library, and I'd go next door and I'd say, I have to read this to you. You are not going to believe what they're saying about women. Wow. And so she actually volunteered to type my paper for me or help me with the typing of the paper. Wow. So I would like write stuff out, and there would be, and I had, of course, you know, like I didn't have training as a historian. And in fact, social history, I think at that point was not really a subdiscipline. So I, you know, it was like packed full with long passages, long quotes. And Gail typed a good bit of that paper, if not all of that paper for me. Wow. I mean, because I was taking other classes and I was a TA too. So I guess you have a lot of energy when you're 22.
These guys do.
And so so I gave the paper to him. You know, read this, I dare you. And so in doing the paper, as I started to get more and more into psychology itself, things really got interesting, particularly with evolutionary theory. Yeah. And then tracing in American psychology, I found these women